If that makes me boring and no fun, then so be it. I wish I had used more of my brain. Bro, get to the point. It's my fault for not being able to read. Say it with me, F tier. I'm freaking loving it. It's going in D, guys. It wasn't good. Hi, I'm Sam. There's quite literally no one asking me to do this, but I thought it would be equal parts masochistic and entertaining for me to rank every single book that I read in 2023. So that's what I'm gonna do. Before we get into the tier ranking, I thought it would be a ton of fun to go over some data. My little scientist heart loves data, so here's my Storygraph data. So I do have a Goodreads and a Storygraph. I really don't use Storygraph apart from logging books and then collecting the data at the end of the year, and I guess at the end of the month too. I just think that the user interface of Storygraph isn't as intuitive. So I have both of those. They're both, I think, in my YouTube bio. I don't know what that thing's called, but they're there if you are interested in adding me as a friend. So it looks like Storygraph thinks I had a great reading year, which is very nice of them to say. I finished 181 books across 43,913 pages. My first book was Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour, which I did not know was a young adult book at the time of reading. My last book was The Fright Before Christmas, Surviving Krampus and Other Yuletide Monsters, Witches and Ghosts by Jeff Belanger. This was really fun. I read this on Christmas Eve, and it was just cozy, comfy, spooky, Christmassy. The vibes were immaculate. Okay, my mood map looks a little more exciting this year. Last year, it was literally like, it tanked, and it was just like flatlined the whole year, so I must have read a lot more consistently dark things in 2022. But it looks like in 2023, I was in my emo era from like January to June, and then maybe that's when my seasonal depression ended. So July I saw an uptick in mood, and then it seemed to kind of increase over the end of the year. And that's actually kind of interesting because I found myself in quite a big reading slump after July, and I think basically for the rest of the year I was really just trying to find easy reads. I did meet my goal, but I kind of don't really care as much about reading goals. I think it doesn't really matter how much you read in a year. A more important goal for me is to make sure that I'm actually challenging myself as a reader, but also enjoying reading, because reading is a hobby for me. So I don't want to ruin it by putting all this pressure on myself. So the genres I spent the most time with in 2023 were manga, horror, romance, literary, and contemporary. I know you're probably all surprised to see romance as the number 3 most read genre for me, but that's because at the end of the year, like I said, when I was seeking out comfort in books, I was reading a lot of shoujo romance manga. So I think that's why that's so high up on the list, because I really don't read romance novels. But I think the manga, horror, literary, contemporary, that all sounds right on track for me. My longest book was The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis at 608 pages. My shortest book was The Lottery short story collection, apparently, by Shirley Jackson. That didn't feel that short, so I don't know how accurate that is. Average book length was 242 pages. This says it took me around a day to finish each book, but I don't log my books in Storygraph until I finished them. So it's literally like, it makes it seem like I read each book in only a day. So the authors I spent the most time with in 2023 were all manga authors, so that's why I read 30 books by Karuho Shiina. And Haruichi Furudate is the Haikyu author. Miki Aihara is the author of Gimmick. Okay, 2023's average rating was 3.68 stars. I think that's okay. I think I'm pretty stringent with what I give 5 stars, so I'm fine with that. And then my 5-star reads, we'll just do like a slow scrolling, adoring, appreciating look at all my 5-star reads. It looks good to me. Okay, and then this is the spread of my 2023 ratings. So yeah, it looks like of the 181 books that I read, I only gave 27 5 stars. I gave 33 4 stars, 34 3 stars. Okay, it looks like my most shelved, I guess like the most popular book I read based on number of other users who have shelved this book was Circe by Madeline Miller. Rated at 2.75 stars, so don't think it was that good. Least shelved was The Cabin by Brian Evenson. I guess that makes sense. It's a short story, so I guess I don't know how many people would log or shelve just the single short story. Highest rated was Haikyu. Yes, fully agree. I explored the works of 78 new authors. I guess I'm happy I'm trying out new authors. And then yeah, 102 of the books I read were part of a series, so big manga year for me. Reread 13 books. And then here's my 2023 at a glance. I love looking at this grid. It's so freaking satisfying to look at. I love it. Cool. Okay. Probably no one cares. So I know some people like to have really cute creative ideas about what to name their different tiers, but I find that to be more confusing than helpful. Personally. So I like to just keep it the traditional tiers. So here are my tiers. Here are all my books. I guess if you really want to understand like what my tiers are in my heart, S tier is like no notes, amazing. It touched me and my soul and my spirit. I love it. I don't see myself ever changing my view on that. A is like so good, like so close to being that, but there was just something about it that didn't have that little extra oomph, you know, to get it into the S tier. B is super solid, super good, would recommend. C is, it was probably good, but it might have been kind of inconsequential, maybe a bit forgettable. D is bad, period. F is really, really, really bad. Wouldn't recommend. I don't even really want to waste breath talking about these books. It's kind of like that bad. So I've only included the first volume in a series because I don't want to rank 30 volumes in a single series. I pretty much am just ranking the series as a whole. So yeah, let's just get into the tier ranking. First up, we have Prosperous Demon. Pretty C tier for me. I almost DNF'd it, and honestly, the ending is kind of what saved it for me. It ended up being like fine, you know. Walking Practice was one of my best of the year. That one is going in A tier. And you might be thinking, Sam, wouldn't all of your best of the year go into S tier? And to that I say, no, because I'm complicated. And I think that there is a distinction between S and A tier even within my best books of the year. Monstrilio was another best of the year. That one is also going into A tier. The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis. I've seen this on a lot of other booktubers' best of lists, and it was pretty good. I thought it was good and I recommend it, so I'm putting that in B tier. Midnight Rain was a boys' love. That was pretty good. Would recommend if you're a boys' love girly. That's going in B tier. Okay, Perfect Days. Where do you think that's going? That's S tier. That like changed my chemistry of my brain. A Hunters in the Snow, S tier. Timeless classic. I loved it in high school. Loved it now that I'm 30 years old. You Should Have Left was disappointing. I'm kind of torn between C and D. I'm gonna put it, it feels too mean to put it in D. This is like C minus, okay? This is like C, but it's like on thin ice. And if it doesn't like get its act together, it's gonna not be able to graduate. That kind of deal. Okay, Lottery and Other Stories. Shirley Jackson is a queen, but I'm just not a super big short story girly. So like, this is my tier ranking, okay? As a reminder. So I'm putting that in C, which I know is probably sacrilege for a lot of people, but yeah, I'm not a short story girly, guys. Rosemary's Baby. See, now, I don't think this was on my best of list, but this is just like, this is S tier, you know? I have to put this in S tier. I don't know, I'm complicated, you guys. I'm complicated. This is like an objectively good book, and it's like a horror classic. So yeah, it's going in S tier. Tokyo Boys and Girls was a shoujo romance manga. This was one I read in like the throes of my reading slump. It's going in D, guys. It wasn't good. Page Boy was a memoir by Elliot Page. Very interesting. I hope he writes more, but I think as far as memoirs go, wasn't one of the best I've ever read. So I think that's gonna go into C tier as well. One Piece. So I caught up to the anime a few months ago. And when that happened, I then picked up the manga where the anime left off. So basically I read like 3 or 4 volumes of the One Piece manga, and I'm all the way caught up now. You know, there's kind of that meme that you just have to watch like 300 episodes before it starts to get really good. But like, hate to say it, guys, One Piece is really freaking good. Like, it's really freaking good. I've been watching this since I was in high school. I had left off at the Water 7 Enies Lobby arc about 3 or 4 years ago, and then I recently picked it up again, July or August, and literally binged, watched over 1,000 episodes, caught all the way up to the current episode, and literally one of the best works of fiction, one of the best pieces of media I've ever consumed in my entire life. I literally feel lucky to have been alive in an era when One Piece is being made. Like, I feel like I'm here and I'm witnessing history. And that sounds so dramatic, but I'm serious. It's so freaking good. So with that being said, this will go into S tier. Okay, next is Mimi's Tales of Terror. This was great. I am a Junji Ito girly. That's going in A tier. Liquor and Cigarettes was another boy's love. This was pretty good, guys. I also really enjoy when boys love is a standalone. So that'll go an A. I'm happy with that. From Me to You was that 30-volume shoujo romance manga series that I read at the end of the year. And I just needed like a comfy, cozy time. And as I was thinking about this, I was like, this was not really that good. You know, kind of mid. But then I was thinking back and I was like, I literally cried several times throughout this series. So maybe it was written with a little bit more emotional depth than I was originally giving it credit for. So I think I'm gonna put it in B. The Pillowman, y'all. That one like snuck up. That was kind of a buzzer beater right there, honestly. I read it towards the end of the year, and that sucker firmly planted itself in S tier. The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna was okay. I just don't think I'm the target demographic for Kristen Hanna. Is it an objectively bad book? No. So I think for me though, it'll go in C. Be Very Afraid of Kanako Inuki. Another one. I was like really wanting this to be good. I just don't think this was a super big hit for me. So I'm gonna put this one in D as well. DramaCon was a manga series that I originally read in high school. Again, comfy, cozy time. I was dying in my reading slump, so I wanted to reread this, so I did. This is fine. The first volume is really good, and then the rest of the series was not as good. So I'm gonna put this in, honestly, D, I think. Surviving Krampus. Guys, this was really good. If you are interested in spooky Christmas folklore, and that's something you want to incorporate into your holiday season next year, highly recommend this one. So that one's going in S. I have a lot of little nuggets of wisdom now to share with my family at the holidays to unsettle them, which is, I can't ask for anything more. Open Throat by Henry Hoke was a freaking delight. That's going in A tier. Jawbone by Moniko Uehara. This was good, but I wonder if I read it at the wrong time of my life. Or not time of my life, but just I wasn't in the right mood when I picked it up. So it did a disservice to this book. But nonetheless, I have to go on the experience I had. So I'm gonna say like B, but like B minus. The Lottery graphic novel, I don't feel like this needed to be made. It didn't add really anything to me. Hold on a second. Who put My Love Mix Up in F tier here? What happened here? Who did this? Nope. Y'all, this must have been an accident. Freaking S tier. Jesus, I'm so sorry that you spent that much time in F tier. I literally was like, I haven't put anything in F tier yet. What the heck? Okay. Clearly, we had some sort of miscommunication between myself and the cursor however long ago, but that should not have ever been an F tier, and for that I apologize. My Love Mix-Up is firmly an S tier. Wow, that was quite an oversight. Okay, Soichi. Admittedly, Soichi is not one of my... No, I'm not even gonna be sugarcoating this. I'm gonna say Soichi is one of my least favorite Junji Ito characters. So as a collector, I felt this duty to collect and read this. And, going in, I was like, I don't really like Soichi. But then again, freaking Junji Ito just is such a master that even when it's a character that I'm not the hugest fan of, this was still good. So I'm gonna say Soichi can go in B tier, which is still relatively low for me to be rating a Junji Ito, but such is life. Hot Gimmick. Okay, again, this is gonna be confusing because if you recall on my story graph, Hot Gimmick is a series that I gave 5 stars, but this is one where it's not an S tier for me. The 5 stars is pure nostalgia. It just has tropes that I happen to really enjoy. So actually, even though I gave it 5 stars, I'm gonna put it in B tier. Okay, Girl Juice. I was kind of disappointed by this, so I think I'm gonna put that one in C tier. Dogs of Summer was also one that wasn't as much of a hit for me as I wanted it to be. I think that one's going in C tier as well. But a lot of other people really like that one, so I think I'm the anomaly there. Happy Sugar Life is a newer series that I haven't talked about yet on the channel. Horror, girly pop type manga series. I am freaking loving it. Having a great time. I haven't finished the series yet. Honestly, my heart is kind of telling me to put it in S tier. But I don't know, it feels wrong to do that before I finished the series, so I'm gonna put it in A for now, and then we'll check back later. Haikyu, y'all, we know. Boys in the Valley was a pretty good horror. I read it in the summer, and it's like very clearly set in the winter, so I wish I had used more of my brain when deciding when to pick it up, because I think this would have been super fun to read in the winter, but it was still really fun. So this one can go in B, but like towards the front, it's like B+. The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. S tier. In Praise of the Stepmother. Yep. That was my top book of the year. S tier. That's going number tippy top, number 1. Cunning Folk. This was another one where I almost DNF'd it because I don't think Adam Neville's writing is super compatible with my brain. He has really flowery writing and I'm just like, bro, get to the point. But the ending was, yeah, that was for me. That was for me. So that can go in B. I'm fine with that. I can chill there. Heartstopper. I read a few of these volumes at my sister's. It was fun. It was a delight. I totally get why people love this series. Yeah. I am on board. I'm gonna put that in B as well. Bisengast, another like nostalgia read for me. The art style is so cool and unique, but the series was not actually that good. Very much style over substance. The first few volumes were super solid. The very first volume was very good, but the series just did not work for me. So that can go in, oh boy, I think C. Beloved by Toni Morrison was my first Toni Morrison, and she is another goddess. She can go in A tier. Astral Season, Beastly Season was one that left a really big impression on me, more so than I thought it would. So that can go in A. Foster by Claire Keegan. Claire Keegan just has such a quiet but powerful way of writing, and she has such a strong grasp of the human condition and how to write a character and write emotion. So I think she can go up by shards, very much like B+, almost an A-. Cult Classic by Sloane Crosley was a ton of fun for me. That can go in A. Devil Takes You Home. Folks, I think we might have our first F tier. Yep, that's where that's going. Waiting for Ted was a good idea, but I don't think it was executed super successfully. So that, I think it's gonna go in D. Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. I really didn't like this one, so I'm gonna put that one in F too. The Collective was a thriller, and like this was fine, you know? I guess I can go in C. May Fly, I didn't really like. I don't wanna put it in D because I feel like that seems too harsh. I think it's like a very low C, like C minus. Helpmeet by Nabin Ruthnam. I really didn't like it. I don't remember like a single thing about this, so that can go in F. We Eat Our Own by Kia Wilson was not as good as I wanted it to be, so that's going in D. Such a Pretty Girl. This was fine. I guess C. Goodnight Poon Poon. I didn't really like this. Man, I don't know. I feel like this is really controversial, but I'm putting this in D. I feel like the Inio Asano fans are gonna come for me for that, but maybe I don't get it because I wasn't a young boy when I went through puberty. I don't know. Okay, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Yeah, I liked this a lot more than I thought it would. I guess I thought this was more of a romance than it ended up being. But there was one part where the guy, I don't remember the guy's name, but basically like the male lead said something to the female protagonist. It made my heart flutter a little bit. And I was like, whoa, okay. But this was spookier than I was expecting. So I like that. So I think that can go in, honestly, I feel like I can go A, like A-. Yeah. Comedy Sex God by Pete Holmes. Pete Holmes is one of my favorite comedians. He's super funny. But this book was not as entertaining as I thought it would be, so I think that can go in C. Children of Fire by Drew Karpyshyn. That's going in F. Yep, The Book of Accidents. I didn't like this. I think F tier is too harsh, so I'm gonna say D. Fine with that. Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. I don't know. I don't feel like this was really for me, but this wasn't bad, so that can go in C. Jane by Maggie Nelson. That was pretty good. Honestly, I feel like that could go in A. That was really uniquely written. Sorrow and Bliss, that's going in A. Good shit. Little Eyes by Samantha Schweblin, that's going in A. That's also good shit. Striga was disappointing. That can go in C. Big Swiss, I like me likey. That's going in A. Oh no, I'm running out of room in A. YN by Esther Yee, no. I feel like C. That was a buddy read, so I feel like I have fond memories of it partially because of that, so that can go in there. Remarkably Bright Creatures, say it with me, F tier. Thank you. Universal Harvester, say it with me again, F tier. Yes, where they belong. Never Let Me Go, not good. That's going in D. No Country for Old Men was good. I freaking love Anton Chigurh. He's a great villain. Fun fact, we share a Enneagram and Myers-Briggs personality type. So keep that in mind. No Country for Old Men can go in A tier. That was, well, should it go in A? No, I don't think it should actually. I'm gonna put that in B because it felt a little disjointed. And then after finishing it, I realized, or I found out that Cormac McCarthy originally wrote it as a screenplay with the intention of it going to film. And then no production companies would pick it up. So then he reworked it and then just published it as a book. And then of course it ended up getting picked up. So if I were him, I would have been so frustrated. But that makes sense because it kind of does read more like a screenplay than a book. So that's going in B. But I mean, it was great. Hawk Mountain. Say it with me. S tier. Yes. Everything the Darkness Eats. Oof. Bad. Bad. That's, yeah, I think it's F. I'm fine with that. Brutes by Diz Tate was pretty good. I'm gonna say A. Yeah. Tombs was really good. That can go in A. Junji Ito, I love you. PTSD Radio, another horror manga series I found this year. Love. A tier. Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. I was really surprised by how much I liked that. That's S tier. That's great. Pornography for the End of the World was a short story collection by an indie author. I randomly found this and bought it because the title and cover were just so cool. I actually did end up really liking this, and that's really a testament because we all know not a short story girly. So that can go in B tier. Yeah, I'll put him right next to Junji Ito, and like that is seriously high praise. Blood on the Tracks, S tier. That's S tier for sure. Ultra Gash Inferno was my first Sue Hiromaru. If you are not familiar with him, he writes eroguro manga, which is erotic grotesque manga. So it's really smutty and gross, and that is not a combination I really enjoy. But I do appreciate what he did for horror manga, and with that being said, he can go in C tier. Do You Dream of Terror 2? No, I don't. That can go in D. The Cabin by Brian Evenson was pretty good. Kind of took a weird turn at the end, though, that I wasn't a fan of. So I think I'm going to put that sort of at the bottom of B. Tampa by Alyssa Nutting. Yeah, S tier. Baby. Last House on Needless Street was my first Katrina Ward. It was all right. I think it can go in B. That's fine. Norse mythology. Pretty inconsequential for me. I'm going to put that in D. To Strip the Flesh also kind of wasn't that much of a hit for me. I'm gonna put it in D. Yep. The Book of the Most Precious Substance. This was, again, kind of my fault because it explicitly says on the back cover that there's gonna be a lot of sex in it, and then while I was reading it, I was like, why is there so much sex in this? So I didn't like that. So it's my fault for not being able to read. So that's gonna go in D. That's going in the D tier of my heart, and I'm sorry. Downfall by Inio Asano? Yeah, I think this was all right. This was a standalone of his. I'm fine putting that in C. I'm okay with that. And Then I Woke Up by Malcolm Devlin was pretty good. That can go in B. We Spread by Iain Reid was pretty good. That's like B+. That can go up by Cormac McCarthy and The Shards. Dimension 21 was also pretty good. I love Shintaro Kago's style. He can go up in B as well. Hang out with these guys. Convenience Store Woman? No. I read this first before Earthlings, so I think that's why Earthlings surprised me that much more. Convenience Store Woman? It was fine. I think this can go B-. Yeah. Patricia Wants to Cuddle? A romp. A rompity romp. That can go in A. Black Paradox by Junji Ito? Pretty good. I think, yeah, A-. Blood Meridian? That can go up into S tier, baby. We got S tier onto 2 rows. Love it. Idle Hands. A little too cheesy for me. I'm gonna put that in D. Bad Cree by Jessica Johns. You know, this kind of came off a little cheesy too, but it was pretty unique. I'll put that in C. The Nursery by Sylvia Monar. D. Hummingbird Salamander. Woof. Yeah, that's going in D. Haunting of Hill House. That is good. That's a classic. Should it go in A or S? You know, I put Rosemary's Baby in S, so yeah, let's do S. I'm fine with that. Circe. I don't like this. I don't like it. That's going in D. Big Fish. Super disappointing. Also going in D. Orochi. Some stories were really good and others were not. So I'm gonna go B. Pretend I'm Dead by Jen Began. C. Kind of inconsequential. If you want to read Jen Began, just read Big Swiss. And then The Mutations. I'm gonna put that in D. And y'all, that is it. Those are all the books I read in 2023 ranked. So let's just take a moment to appreciate. We got double rows for most things, I think just by nature of how many books I read. But I'm pleased to see that there is quite a solid stacking in the S, A, and B tiers. You know, there is more in like the C and D tier than I was hoping there would be. So next year, I really hope I can pump up the top 3 tiers, but I'm happy with that. I think that looks good. And this was a lot of fun to do. Those are all the books I read in 2023 ranked. So you can like this video if you want, comment, subscribe if you want. I would love to have you. And let me know if you read any of these books. Do you agree with what I ranked these books as? Are there any of these books you want to read? Let me know. Would love to hear from you. I will see you in the next video that I make. Okay, love you guys very much. Goodbye.